Okay, everyone. Welcome to lesson 7 of Marketing 3. We've done quite a lot so far from lesson 1 to lesson 6. We spoke about the reason why we're doing consumer behavior. Then we discussed the differences between a customer and a consumer and why the focus is on a consumer. That's why we say consumer behavior instead of customer behavior. But sometimes we also say customer behavior because we have got some consumers who are actually customers. So they purchase the products that they consume themselves. Then after we spoke about the difference between a customer and a consumer, we spoke about the factors that influence consumer decision making. We spoke about the individual factors. We spoke about environmental factors, economic factors. We spoke about organizational factors, family factors, and so on. Then last week, we spoke about values, the value that consumers get in their consumption of products. We discussed the differences between needs and wants because the values are determined by the products that satisfy their needs or their wants. We also spoke about measuring value, which was lesson 6, because in order to know the kind of value that you are delivering, we need to measure it so that we can exceed the consumer's expectations and make them come back. Is there anything else that I did not mention that you guys would like to add on, those who attended the first week, the second week, and the third week? Angela, what else did we learn that you can still remember?
I think you've mentioned everything.
Okay. Amandla, is there something that you'd like to add on?
No, sir.
Okay, so some of the stuff, I'll just put them here on our Microsoft Teams. But guys, you can always find the class materials on Core Campus. I'm going to send a link for the first week because it has got an assignment on it. I'll also post it on the group. Benton, please, can you please WhatsApp me so that I can add you on the group? That's why I'm going to send a link on the group, WhatsApp group, so that you may be able to go through the brief, the assignment brief for the test that you guys are going to have from 7 April, which is next month, to 15 April. I'm also going to ask Francisca to upload a link on Core Campus if she can.
So can I leave my numbers on the chat?
Okay, let me see, because I think I've already added mine, but that's okay. You can also put them there. It's just easier if you just text me because I'm busy teaching at the moment than me texting you.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so I put the numbers there. I don't know if you can see them.
Yes, I can see them.
Yeah, so 0740422851.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so now we are on chapter 3 of the textbook that you guys have. In order to understand consumer behavior, we need to analyze the market. We need to know the characteristics of the market. How do market behaves? Because if we do not know how market behave, we may not end up knowing how or where our consumers are best. So at the end of this lesson, you need to understand and explain the composition of the South African population in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of the geography, in terms of education, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of the labor market, in terms of unemployment levels in the formal and informal sector. And you also need to understand the composition of South African households in terms of housing, access to electricity and water, access to healthcare, and whether they still possess telephone landlines and their monthly income, household income. Guys, why do you think these are relevant to consumer behavior? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so why do you think age or gender or where people live, their education, why do you think it's relevant to consumer behavior and to marketing?
I think so you can segment your consumers.
Okay, so that you can segment your consumer. And why would you segment our consumers? Your answer is correct. I just want to know further. Why do we need to segment consumers?
Maybe to identify your target market.
Okay. All right. Who else? There are so many reasons. Amanda has just given us one for segmentation purposes. Another one.
I think to market to the relevant people, if that makes sense.
Okay, to market to the relevant people. Okay, anything else? Amanda, where do you stay, by the way?
Phosphorus.
Oh, okay, you are confusing me with someone else. I thought you stay in town. All right, it's a lady from the other class. Okay. So guys would realize that some products would need specific information. Some products would be determined by gender. Even though nowadays gender is becoming obscured. That's why some information, when you feel information, be it online or offline, on gender or on sex, it's no longer male and female. You'll find other there. Have you guys come across that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And has anyone, for some reason, clicked on other?
No.
Benton, why not?
Because my gender is already there, so I don't click on other for my sake.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, but I believe there are some people, because they don't want their gender to be known, they just click on other, even if they know that they are male or female. So in cases where gender is obscured, for example, or where education is obscured, it becomes so difficult for marketers to know their key target, as Amanda said. For example, nowadays, there are unisex toilets. So it means that if you are a supplier for toilet products, for public toilet products, you wouldn't specifically consider gender as type of your segment because it's a unisex toilet. Have you guys come across unisex toilets? Because at University of Johannesburg, they're there.
Yes, we have.
Okay. All right. And do you prefer having unisex toilets or just male and female toilets?
I prefer them to be separate for my own personal reasons.
You say you prefer unisex.
No, they must be separate. There must be male toilets and female toilets.
So there has to be male, female, and other in terms of toilet. Okay, I get you, Angel. Benton, do you prefer unisex toilet?
Yes, I do.
All right. Because one thing I don't understand about this unisex toilet is that at home, you guys have got unisex toilets, right? You share with your brothers and sisters, your mothers and fathers. So when it comes to the public, it becomes an issue of having a unisex toilet. But that's it. I debate for another day. Let's proceed with our lesson. So the market characteristics and their influence on consumer behavior. We start with the demographic characteristics. So the demographic characteristics are those that study vital statistics. And these statistics, they are static, meaning that they do not change, but they can evolve over time. So demographics are things that do not necessarily change. For example, if you're a boy, you are a boy, and if you're a girl, you're a girl. So gender does not necessarily change, but with technologies that are out there, we've got people who can alter their gender, or we can be people who were born otherwise. So things like ethnicity or race, these things cannot change. If you were born black, you are black. As in, if you were born African, you're African. If you were born Asian, you are Asian. If you were born Western or European or white, you are white. So these things do not really necessarily change. For example, if you come from KZN, you are from KZN, unless if your ancestors and everyone who initially stayed in KZN decides to relocate. So these are the demographics that we work on, even education. The moment you have got a matric certificate or a degree, that is never going to change unless or otherwise, or maybe your degrees are revoked because it was fraudulent. But if you got it fair and square, it's going to die with you. You can never transfer to someone else. So these are the things that we focus on in terms of demographics. Do you guys now understand the demographic characteristics of any given population?
Yes.
Religion as well. If you are born a Christian, you are a Christian, unless or until you convert to other types of religion, such as Islam or being a Jew and so on. So to realize that there are people who still don't go to church, but they will tell you, even if they are at the bar, they will tell you that I'm a Christian. Because Christianity is not only determined or identified by being at church. There are some who do not go to church at all, but they identify themselves as Christian. And this has got an impact on the marketing campaigns and marketing strategies when communicating with these people, because you need to know their level of demography when engaging with them. For example, if your demography is on education, you need to know how to address people who are educated. If the demography is on literacy, you need to know whether the people you're talking to can read or write. They know basic numeracy and literacy. Or else, if you do not know, the communication with them is going to be broken. They won't understand you because they can't read. They won't understand you because they can't add numbers. The same thing with gender. Nowadays, there's sensitivity around gender. So you need to know who you are addressing in terms of their sexual orientation. For example, body shaming. Body shaming is becoming something that is of a public detest. So you cannot attack the other gender based on their body makeup and stuff like that. So that's how these characteristics influence consumer behavior. There are some products that are gender specific. Can you give me the types of products that are gender specific?
Shaving cream
Shaving cream.
for men.
Okay, but I'm sure all genders shave, but all right. What else? Let's hear about the products that are gender specific. Guys, do you use anything that is used by different genders out there? We've got sanitations, guys, such as pads, they are gender specific. Makeup, though I've just learned that they are males, men who also use makeup. I didn't know about that. So you can see how products are also becoming gender obscured. We can look at many products that are specifically targeted by different demographics. Products such as halal food. There are some religions or religious groups that do not eat meat that was slaughtered in a specific way. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to highlight here, guys. If you go to restaurants, you will see there will be a certificate there that says that the foods that are served at this restaurant have followed halal procedures. So there are so many things that we can always talk about the way people consume different products and how the market characteristics based on demography influence that. Are there any questions about the demographic market characteristics that influence consumer behavior?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we move on to specific demographics. So we've got a population. Why is it necessary to know the number of people who live in a certain area or a certain country? For example, if we are Boston, if you are a marketing manager for Boston, why would it matter for you to consider population in your marketing activities?
I think so that you can know your potential customers or consumers.
Okay, yeah, so that you can know your potential customers. Another reason?
I think so that you can market relevant stuff for them.
Okay, so that you can cater for their needs and wants. So guys, this also determines the location of Boston itself. Why is it located in Sandton instead of Randburg or instead of any other areas? So you need the population that you are going to, you need to know the population that you are going to serve, as Benton has mentioned. Also, this is not only for current measures, it can also be for future measures. For example, if you are in an area and you realize that there are so many people who are young parents, you'd know that their kids are going to grow, and in their 20s, they are going to need tertiary education. So you can always gauge the population based on what is happening now and also what is happening in the near future. Because remember, with the population, people multiply and people die. So you need to know the trends, the birth rate or the death rate. You also need to know the age distribution of that population. How many youths are there? How many senior citizens are there? How many babies are there? Because that determines the market, the target market that you are going to have. You also need to know the physical distribution of the population. What about education, Guy? Why is education a demographic variable that influence marketing? For example, does it matter when you are selling roll-on? Does it matter to consider education, the levels of education with your consumers?
Yes, it does matter when you're saying roll on.
Okay, how, Benton?
Because products are different, and sometimes you may find that like some products are maybe you are too sensitive for them, or they are just the right products for you, and there's no way you can know that if you maybe are not educated about it.
Okay, all right. What I'm picking up from what you've just said is that education matters, one, for brand recognition.
Yes.
How can someone know that this is Shield and this is X or Brute? They need to read, right? Even though there are other variables that would differentiate brands, for example, their colors or their logos and stuff like that. But reading and the education, the levels of education in that sense could matter. Also, when it comes to consumption, there are some items that people consume that requires their education levels, especially on how to prepare the product and how to actually serve the product if it's food. And if it's something that requires some activities, like a machine, you would require someone who is more educated to, who is at some level, be educated to operate that machine. That's why some people would actually go to school to train to operate some industrial machines. Some people need to go through a manual on how to use that machine. So on those levels, yes, education could matter, especially in the disposal of something. You'd realize that we cannot do all things that we're not educated to do. For example, can you all guys bake a cake?
No.
Why can't you bake a cake? So we need some sort of education around baking a cake, you know, which ingredients are needed to bake that cake, which creaming and so on. And you realize that baking a cake would require some form of education in someone who went to school to do baking, be it a catering person or someone who did hospitality and so on. Then we normally look at literacy and numeracy. What does literacy mean, guys? And what's the difference between literacy and education?
I think literacy means the ability to read and write, and
Mhm.
yeah, and the difference between literacy and education. Um, I don't know how to explain it.
Try it,
It
say it in your
um
language.
oh, with education you would have to go to school for it, and with literacy you can, I don't know, you can
Okay,
learn by yourself, if that makes sense. I can learn
yes.
how to read and write at home without having to go to school.
I get the sense of what you're saying. What about others? Do you get the sense of what she's saying? So, guys,
Yes.
education, in most cases, it's having a qualification, right? So, education is having an academic qualification, be it in a specific field, but literacy is being able to read and write. So, realize that there are people who do not have qualifications, or maybe they reached standard 5 or grade 5, or they reached matric but they didn't want to write their final examinations. Whether they got pregnant or something happened, they dropped out of school. Those people are literate. They can read and write, but they do not have education because there's no qualification to show. So with education, there's something that you need to show in terms of a certificate or a qualification. That's what you guys are doing here. At the end of the day, you need a diploma or something that shows that you studied marketing. But with literacy, it's only being able to read and write. Then there's what you call numeracy. Numeracy is being able to know the numbers, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So knowing the basic mathematics. Then let's move on to labor market. Why do you think labor market is a demographic characteristics that need to be considered when looking at consumer behavior? I believe labor market and unemployment, they can show the same values, especially considering the current economic state in South Africa. So they show the levels of how much people are making in order to survive. So if people are unemployment, it's surely going to have some impact on the sales of the products. It's going to have some impact on their consumption. So it means that they are going to have some strict budget and cutting back on things that they do not necessarily need. Remember, guys, we spoke about needs and wants. Needs being something that you cannot survive without, a want being something that you do not necessarily need. Then we can look at formal and informal sectors. So informal sectors are those businesses like the vendors, those who sell on the streets that are not formally recognized. And formal sectors, it would be those that are registered, are regulated, and are recognized. So these are the individual variables, demographic graphic variables that influence consumer behavior and ultimately marketing strategies. Are there any questions on this page, about this page? Is there something that you want to add, guys, or subtract?
Can you please repeat on formal and informal sectors?
Okay. Formal and informal sectors. These are categories that determines one's careers or one's way of generating income. So the formal sector are those that are registered and are regulated. So, for example, Boston is part of a formal sector because it's a registered entity and it is recognized by authorities, while its informal sectors are those that in most cases are not regulated. For example, the people who sell on the streets, the street vendors, you'd bake your amagwinya and go on the side of the road and you decide to sell there. That space where you are operating is not even regulated. You are not even paying a license or being recognized by authorities that you are within the formal sector. I don't know if I'm making any sense, Amandla.
Yes, I do understand.
Okay. For example, if you work in a formal sector, you would have a pay slip that shows that you are earning some sort of money from a specific entity. But if you are working within the informal sector, you can never have a pay slip. Your income will only be shown on your bank statement. Okay, can we move on? Or there's something else that you guys need to address? Okay, the population. The population matters a lot because if the population is too much, sorry guys, someone just texted me and I think it's Seho. Let me just check. Oh, it's Benton. Okay, Benton, I'll quickly add you just now. So if you look at the population, guys, if the population is increasing, it means that at some point you would want to increase your production because the consumption will be high. Remember, consumer behavior is all about the consumption. So if there's a family of 2 people who are partners, then all of a sudden they decide to have a child or they decide to have children, it means that the amount of food that they were getting has increased because there are now more stomachs to feed with that food, right? Also, if population is decreasing, it means that somehow it's also going to affect the cells because the consumption is reduced. So one or the other, the way you look at it, population always matters. It does matter. If there's a family of 5 people, a mother, a father, and 3 children, and all those children decide to get married and leave that house, it means that the consumption of that household is going to decrease. But at some point, those who have decided to leave the house and start their own families, they are also going to consume their own products. So it's always good to have some deeper thoughts about the population patterns, because sometimes you can think the population is decreasing, not knowing that it is actually multiplying. It's just that there are people who have left the household. That household has reduced the consumption, but these people are going to start another household. Think about Benton. Say that you are not specifically from Johannesburg. So it means that wherever you are staying, their consumption is going to reduce because you've left. But where you are staying now, you are going to consume more on your own, right?
Yes, sir.
So population patterns, guys, there's a lot to say about population. We can even talk about migration. People leaving specific provinces for another province, or people leaving a country to another country, and how that can affect the marketing activities if you are a brand that provide products to those people. So the good news is that there are more females than men. Is that actually good news or bad news, guys? That there are many females than men.
It's not good news.
Benton, is that good news that there are so many women out there than your counterparts?
It depends in terms of what, but as far as like the no, I don't think it's good news.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I feel like men they they make more money like for like the country or the world in general than women.
Mm-hmm.
They generate more money.
Okay, so in terms of patriarchy, what Benton is saying is that most of the industries have always been unfair to women, and many women are made dependents. So if there are many dependents out there, it means it's a problem. But if there are many breadwinners, for example, or many independent women, then we can talk about something else. Because having many women, it means that most of them may become single parents and stuff like that, and that may lead to poverty. But what if most of the women, the 51%, are educated and they can take care of themselves? That's a debate for another day. Amanda,
Yes, sir.
do you think it's a problem that we've got less men out there?
Less men or women, sir.
Less men, because women are more than men. The population of women is more than the population of men.
It could be good.
Because you end up sharing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, guys, you can always look at this from different angles, but to some extent, we need a balanced population. So here we're looking at some of the key highlights of the South African population, guys. So we have got 80% of those we refer to Black Africans. So for example, if you are marketing stuff that are not related to Black Africans, you need to know that it's going to be less than 20%, because already 80% is going to Black Africans. Then we have got colored population, which is 4.8 million. White population, which is 4.5 million. Of which, with white population, I always feel like it's confusing, because who is classified as white in South Africa?
So before you continue,
Yes.
is population the second market characteristics?
Can you come again? I didn't hear you.
I'm asking if population is the second market characteristics that influences customer behavior after demographic.
So there's no order for this. The order was just created for the sake of the lesson. So it's determined by the type of the product that you are marketing. Because, there's what we call mass production. If it's something that is created for large masses, like Millimil, Iwiza, or White Star, Millimil, you definitely look at population, because there is a different segment of people who use Millimil on a daily basis for porridge and for pap. And in most cases, it will be Black Africans. So you'd consider the population that Black Africans are 80%. But Black Africans can, so the population is only about numbers, Amandla. But Black Africans also fall under what? On the demographics.
Okay, sir.
They follow under race or ethnicity. Do you remember this, guys? Race or ethnicity. So to answer you, Amandla, population deals with the numbers of people. But you can always split the population based on demographics. For example, under Black Africans, you can split it further and put different ethnicities. How many of those Black Africans are Pedis or Zulus or vendors or Africans? Or Africans are not Black, but I've seen many Black people speak Africans. But do you get what I'm trying to say, Amandla?
I understand, sir.
Okay. For example, gender. When you look at gender, what population has got gender? Indian Asian have got gender, Black Africans have got gender. So it's determined by what you are actually selling or marketing. As I was saying, with white population, I don't know how they measure it because I have actually discovered that whites themselves are different, even in terms of appearance. Even Indian, Asian, it's also different. We have got people from Bangladesh, you know, the Pakistan, the people from Ethiopia. You know, some they look like Indianish. I don't know, guys, but since Ethiopia is from Africa, would you recognize them as Africans?
Yes.
Benton, do you watch soccer? Do you love soccer?
I watch it, but I'm not really a big fan of it.
Or do you know Mo Salah, Mohamed Salah?
Yes, yes, I know.
Is he African or is he white?
He's African.
You see, sometimes it becomes tricky, guys, especially, you know, when someone belongs to a certain continent and you are classifying them based on their religion or on their skin color. It's tricky. That's why I think it was Morocco that advanced a lot on the World Cup. And most saying that it's representing the Arab world, some saying that it's representing Africa. Okay. So we need to know because the population breakdown also determines the type of products and foods that people use, that people consume. For example, there might be some consumption patterns that are different from colored population to Black Africans population, or from white population to the Indian Asian population. But it all depends with the type of product that you are marketing. Any questions about population?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we've got this video. I think there's a link on the lesson plan on core campus, on the lesson roadmap. You guys need to click on that link, unless if you want me to play now, but I think it's going to consume a lot of data from your side, especially if you are using personal data. So are you guys going to watch this on your own?
Yes, sir.
And I know students,
Yes.
they always say they're going to do things on their own. When they get home, they actually pack it aside. It's your own baby. There's nothing I can do. So life expectancy. Guys, what is life expectancy? Who wants to give it a try? Is it the first time you've heard the term life expectancy?
No, can I give it a try?
Okay,
think
let's
I-
hear you, Angel. Angel?
I think life expectancy is the number of years a person is expected to live or something like that.
Yes, correct. Believe it or not, guys, I know in some cases you may say it's the way God has drafted things and stuff like that. But we all have expiry dates. And in most cases, these differ. They are influenced by specific genes that people have or traits. They are also influenced by people's affordabilities, access to health care, the environment that they live in. For example, most of the people who are in developed countries, they live longer than those who are in developing countries. Because someone who has got cancer in America can afford that cancer and will be able to have treatment. But someone who have got cancer in developing countries, chances are that they're going to die from it before they even start any form of chemotherapy. So in South Africa, the life expectancy ranges from age 55 to age 62. It means that most of the people are not going to reach 63 years and above. Do you get it, guys?
Yes.
So realize that if I ask you guys, most of you, some will say that they've never met their grandmothers and their grandfathers. So there's been a decline in infant deaths and mortality rate under 5 decreased from 70 to 44.1% deaths per 100 live births. So all these things matter. You need to know how people are surviving in the market that you are serving. You need to know how many people are being born. For example, if you are Markham Clothing, and you sell to the student segments, you need, you need to know that your students are getting old. You've got first years to third years that you are targeting. Once the third years are leaving, are you going to get the first year in? So is that cycle of life going to continue? Because if that cycle does not continue, like if there's a decline in people being born, it means that the people you are serving as a brand are also going to decline. And this can affect the sales of your brand. It can affect your marketing strategy. For example, as Boston, we need to know how many people are graduating out of matric. But if every students are not completing their matric, it means that it's going to be tricky to enroll more students. So life expectancy matters. As people are dying, how many are being born? You know, China has abandoned its one-child policy. Do you know that, guys? Do you even know that in China, you're only allowed to have one child, and it has to be a specific gender? All right, let's get this exercise, guys. Can you please tell me one by one We start with Angel, followed by Benton, then Amanda. How many kids are you likely going to have? And do you at some point in life see yourself as a grandparent? Angel?
Okay. I think my 2 kids are enough.
Oh,
And
okay.
I do see myself as a grandparent sometime in my life.
So do you expect your kids to multiply?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. Benton?
I want to have 5 kids, and I do see myself being a grandfather.
All right. And with 5 kids, it's easy for us men to say, want a team of soccer. But these people who get into labor, they always disagree with us.
I mean, there's many women than men, so if she wants to, she can get to them. I'll go get the tree from somewhere else.
I get you. That's why I end up being a father to many to different kids from different mothers. Correct. Okay. For example, Angel said that her 2 kids are enough, but what if her partner wants more? So if she insists that they're enough, all of a sudden she hears that the guy has got babies somewhere else.
That's his problem, but
But at the end of the day, you'll be a mother to those to those problems. You'll
they
be the
have been,
stepmother.
I guess.
Okay, let's hear Amandla.
I think I'd like to have 3 kids. And I'd like
6.
three.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And yeah, I'd love to see myself as a grandmother also.
All right. I can't just wait. I hope I'll be alive by then to see you guys as grandparents. Okay, so the answers that you have given me, guys, they also determines your views on population, because population also goes with affordability. Why is it I didn't hear anyone saying that I want to have more than 5 kids? Why don't you guys want to have more than 5 kids?
Cost of living is too high.
Cost of living is too high. What
Yeah.
else? Other reasons other than affordability, why wouldn't you want to have many kids?
I think so I could be able to divide my attention.
Oh, so there will be too much split on divided attention. All right.
You find depressed kids when you have more than 5.
All
Someone
right, Benton.
out.
If I'm being honest, I actually want to have as many kids as I can, but right now I'm planning on 5.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought you guys were going to tell me that it's too late to have many kids.
For me, it's still not
It's
too late.
not.
For example, most of you guys are above 25, right?
No, I'm 22.
Amanda said something, I didn't hear you.
No, I'm saying no.
So
But
Amanda, don't you think it can be too late to have more than 5 kids?
No, I want to have 2 kids before I reach 30, and then I'll have my last one in my 30s. Then I can enjoy my 40s.
Okay. Benton, how are you going to have 5 kids if you're in your 20s? Or they'll be a year apart?
Yeah, probably. And the thing is, I'm not monogamous, so I might as well just be having like 2 babies a year if it's possible. From
If it's different mothers.
yes.
Okay. I think you're not a loyal person.
I am loyal. I'm gonna be loyal to my kids and their
Uh,
mother and all of their mothers.
okay, I see you, Nkosi. Are you Zulu? Benton, are you Zulu? Do you believe in polygamy?
Yes.
Okay. I also do believe in polygamy, but I don't think I can hang with more than one woman. Anyway.
That's what I wanted to say. Benton doesn't know the struggle of dealing with women.
At least it's coming from a woman.
So
Did
which
you
means
get that,
that
Benton?
yes, which means they're doing it on purpose, yeah. If they know how they are, but they're not willing to change, which means they know how they are, they just don't care enough to actually, you know, be there for their husband.
Sure. You know, it's so difficult for women to coexist within the same space. But I don't know, maybe because maybe you grew up in that system, it can work for you. You know, you can have Angel and Amanda in this class and they look peaceful towards each other, they look civil. But if you want to see the animal nature within them, marry them, then you realize their true colors.
I don't have to get married to them, but like I just because like my thing is I just want to have
Oh, I get it. So now you want to plant babies everywhere.
not everywhere, sir, but obviously, I'm not gonna be having babies with anyone. I'll just have like a specific connection with,
All
specific
right.
women. Yes.
Okay, I get you guys. Then this notion of multiplying the universe, do you guys believe that as humans we need to multiply? Or you feel like we are just too many?
There's too many of us.
Too many. Okay.
Yeah, the thing is, we can't control the multiplication of the population.
All right. So, Angel, since you are saying we are too many, do you think there are so many products out there, or we are actually depleting resources?
Please repeat that.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to age distribution. Age distribution resembles the structure of a developing country. So if it is a country at work, you need some sort of age distribution. That's why I realize countries like UK are struggling in terms of their labor market. We've got many people who are in old age homes. And you end up having your brothers and sisters in Africa, leaving Africa to work as nannies and so on in UK because the population is actually for older population, so the distribution is not balanced. In South Africa, there are approximately more younger people than older people. Remember, the life expectancy in South Africa is between 55 and 62. So the reason why there are then younger people more than older people is because older people are dying. 30% of South Africa's population is younger than 15. This is a lot, guys. This is huge. So more than a quarter of South African population, they are younger than 15 years. Then, out of the 55 million that we said, guys, about 4.5 million are 60 years or older. So these are the patients that you need to take note of. I know that you guys don't like it, or maybe you are lucky, but the notion of AMA 2000 is growing. Is there anyone who believes is AMA 2000 in this class?
Yes.
No, okay. I thought you guys were born in 90s, right? In late 90s.
No, I was born in 2001.
Oh, okay. And you don't mind sharing your age, I can see. All right. Anyway, it's your age, it's not someone else. You need to be proud of it. So you see, the trend of AMA 2000, it's becoming more and more and more popular, and so much research is being done on AMA 2000 and their influence on the market. I know the reason why many people don't like the word AMA 2000 because they are associated with being wild, with being immature, and all stuff like that. But from a marketing point of view, this is the population segment that is becoming more vocal, that is becoming more prevalent within the markets. And we realize that almost many things that are being sold out there, they are targeting AMA 2000. Even though AMA 2000 cannot use those things. For example, if you are a company that deals with abogogo and abomkhulu, you'd end up targeting AMA 2000 so that they can convince abogogo and abomkhulu. Think about the decisions that you have made to influence your grandparents about airtime, about the product that you think they can use. Your grandmother is looking for a SIM card to buy, and you tell them use Cell C instead of MTN because Cell C have got these advantages. How many times have you guys helped other people to load airtime on their phones? Guys, don't you have grandparents?
No, sir, but quite a few times.
Okay. All right. So age distribution does matter. Any questions about age distribution? Then the physical distribution of the population. As I told you guys, migration matters when it comes to population. There's a high percentage of people who are migrating from rural areas to urban areas. So those who are from rural to city, or those who are from towns to cities. Eastern Cape and Limpopo are experiencing the largest outflow of people. Gauteng and Western Cape are experiencing the largest inflow of migrants. I've actually realized that most of people do not belong to Gauteng. In which province do you guys come from? Are you guys from Gauteng?
I'm originally from here.
You are from here, Angel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Amandla, KZN.
No, sir, I was born here.
But where does your family come from?
Eswatini.
Okay. Nkosi, KZN.
No, Mpumalanga.
Oh, you're in Ndebele?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Is there a difference between a Swati and Ndebele?
Yes, sir, very big difference.
I think you guys were brothers. You just got jealous of some woman since you like women. Then all of a sudden, okay. I was in Mbombela recently, and it was my first time to be there early this year. Which part of Mpumalanga?
I'm from Madashin.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. For me, I just feel like a Zulu, especially when we talk about women.
No, it's just me. It's not my culture. It's just me.
Okay, all right. I get you on that one. Diverse population, age distribution, high urbanization impact the types of products and services, influence the type of messages, price changed, and where the product is available. Guys, before I move on, when I say that about Zulu, I'm not trying to be offensive about Zulu people. It's just that I've come across many supporting polygamy and stuff. Even women who are Zulu saying that they would go with polygamy. So diversity, guys, also contributes to population, especially here in Gauteng. If the data says that Gauteng is experiencing highest inflow of migrants, it means that those migrants have got different tastes, they've got different backgrounds, and they might not consume the same food. So how can we cater for them? They've got different consumption patterns. So these are the things that marketers need to take note of, especially when coming up with a marketing strategy. Guys, does this make sense? Do you believe this is true about people migrating from rural to urban areas, and Eastern Cape and Limpopo being the provinces that have got many people are living those areas? Do you think it's true?
Yes.
Okay, I also think it's true, especially when I look at the major roads and the traffic of people coming in Johannesburg. Remember, Gauteng has always been known as the city of opportunities or gold and stuff like that. Then education, as we once argued with you people in class, we spoke about knowledge and education, that we need to say knowledge instead of education as a basic need. Education is a basic right for all South Africans and everyone who lives in it. And the government is striving to make it available and accessible to all residents. And provisions for early childhood development has improved. School attendance is compulsory for children between the ages of 7 and 15. So realize in countries like Zim, it actually becomes worse that if your child is not going to school, you can be arrested as a parent because there's no excuse. There's no reason to keep your child at home. Children must be at school. So this also determines the type of products that you are going to teach, especially for future generations. If you know that everyone has got a right to go to schools, and people have actually been schooled in terms of their literacy levels, then you can always communicate with them at that level of their education. There's a marked improvement since 2000. So there are so many people who can now read and write. And the illiteracy among older people is declining. Illiteracy among people older than 60 is still relevantly high, with approximately 8% more females being literate compared to their more counterparts. And also the levels of education is linked to occupation and income and influential pressures. So there's also an impact on integrated marketing communication. So realize, guys, that even the way I think nowadays, instead of talking about literacy, we can talk about literacy because this class is marketing or marketing. But to some extent, I think instead of saying literacy, we need to talk about digital literacy because most people are now using digital devices, one or the other. So we need to know whether they can understand the basic needs, the basic education levels of operating on digital platforms. For example, can your mother download Uber and be able to request Uber on her own? So that's part of digital literacy. Can your father or your granny be able to create an account on her mobile phone, on a mobile bank, be it Standard Bank, and actually make a transaction on that app? So these are the things that are growing in societies nowadays to an extent that we now need to address the issues of digital literacy. So now let's hear from you guys because I've been talking a lot. What can marketers do with the information on population, age, life expectancy, age distribution, physical distribution, education, literacy levels? What can you do with that information, guys? if you are to work as a marketing person?
I think when you have that information, you're able to understand the market that you're catering for, and
Okay.
you alter the needs and wants of the people that you're catering for.
Okay. What else? What other information would you use there?
I think you can use the information to know what to market, for who to market it to, and which language or way can you use to market it so that you can reach your target audience.
Okay. So there's a lot, as we're discussing, guys, there is a lot that can come from the population information, the age, the life expectancy. I spoke about Rama 2000 on the age, the migration. For example, if you're a company based in Limpopo, you need to know that there are so many people that are living in Limpopo going to other provinces. And you need the impact this is going to have on yourself. That's why you realize that most companies, most organizations are in Johannesburg because they know that in Johannesburg, that's where there is a huge market, But if you go to Mpumalanga, for example, there will be very less college. I'll ask Benton. The reason why you moved from Mpumalanga to here is because there are not really many colleges in Mpumalanga, right?
Media, there's not many media colleges.
You see. So those are some of the reasons why you see companies being so concentrated on some specific areas than the other, because they are looking at the key population that they need to save and the population that they also need to get money from. Then let's talk about the labor market. An estimated 36.4 million people between 15 and 64 were living in South Africa. So the reason why we are saying we're living in South Africa is because the number keeps changing. As we're speaking right now, some are actually have actually left the country. So from this group, 21 million make up of the labor force. So when we say 21.3 million make up of the labor force, they are not necessarily employed, but they are capable of being employed. So they are the people that can be targeted for employment. And then 15.6 million are employed, but I think the numbers have decreased significantly because for the past 2 years, we have seen a high increase in unemployment, especially youth unemployment. So, for example, here in the second quarter of 2016, 5.7 people were unemployed. But with everything that has been happening recently, I think the number has increased. And the unemployment rate amongst women is 29%, is 29.3 million during this time period, which is 4.7% higher than among men. So now you see why we should be worried if there are many women than men. It could work if women were actually more women were employed than men, because in most cases, women are the ones who are taking care of men. It's up for a debate, but I believe that a nation without women, it will be something else. Women take care of us. So unemployment in the labor market, they do affect consumer behavior, because in most cases, when it comes to consumption, you must be able to afford what you are eating, unless if you are relying on free parcels. For example, you find a household which has got only one breadwinner, because the rest are unemployed. Then the formal sector, Amanda, I need to pay attention on this one, because you once asked the difference between formal and informal sectors. The formal sector employment rate significantly outweighs the informal sector. So in most cases, the formal sector is where you are formally recognized. Whereas the informal sector, you can work for someone with no recognition. And there are advantages and disadvantages to that. 10.9 million people are employed in the formal sector and 2.5 million people in the informal sector. Composition of South African labor market and high unemployment influence on the blend of products and service companies can provide. So, for example, if you're a luxury brand, it will be difficult to cater for many people because of the wealth distribution in South Africa. For example, if you are selling Lamborghini, how many people are going to target within these sectors? It's going to be tricky. So, what influence does the labor market and high employment rate have on consumer behavior? I've just mentioned some of them, guys. Let's hear from you. Guys, what influence does the labor market and high employment rate have on consumer behavior? So guys, you realize that this is a chain of the impact. I'll give you an example of DSTV. We all know DSTV, right? So DSTV offers some broadcasting services, and it sells subscriptions to people. However, if there's high unemployment rate, it means that many households do not afford subscriptions with DSTV. And at the same time, DSTV has got some advertisers. So brands are advertising using DSTV. So if people cannot afford DSTV subscriptions as a result of high unemployment rate or the tough labor market, it means that companies who are advertising with DSTV won't be able to get a high reach in terms of their advertising and marketing initiatives. So it affects consumer exposure to products that are being advertised by advertisers. It also affects the consumption of specific products such as DSTV. I don't know if I'm making any sense, guys. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then households, believe or not, households have got a huge impact on consumer behavior. The type of housing that you live in, the type of the access to water that you have, whether it's piped water or you use a community borehole, the energy source that you use, whether you use firewood or you use electricity, the type of telecommunication that you have, the healthcare, and the amount that your household brings at home. All these things influence the way you consume products. I'll give you an example. If you live in a shack in informal settlements such as Alexandra, would a washing machine brand like Samsung or LG consider you as their segment? Pardon? Guys, would a washing machine brand consider people live in shacks?
No.
You see, no. Even if they can afford, of course, you cannot stop someone to buy something, but because they've done research and they've realized that they do not have piped water. You need piped water in order to have a washing machine. You need electricity in order to have a washing machine. So these things have got an implications on the people's housing. There are so many things that you can look at that you cannot consider on people who are living in mansions, but consider on people who are in the middle income, or that you cannot consider at all, but would like to consider people who are in informal segments. So it doesn't matter that your housing is relevant. It is relevant, but it must be tailored according to the products that are being sold. So housing, the type of households have changed significantly recently. Formal dwellings are increasing. So many RDP houses are there. Informal dwellings have also increased. So many people are coming to Johannesburg, and most of them are also received in the informal settlements and erecting their own shacks. Traditional housing declined by 2.5 over the period of 2002 and 2013. So all these have got an impact on consumer behavior, as I told you. Then when it comes to water, it is estimated that in 2030, 45% of households have access to piped or tapped water in their homes. 26% of households access water on site. 15% rely on communal taps. 2.6% rely on neighbors' taps. And 4.2% of the households still need to fetch water from rivers, streams, and wells and springs. So I know, guys, you are the lucky generations. Have any of you guys used a communal tap?
No, sir.
Have you guys ever fetched water from rivers or streams or wells or springs?
No.
Oh, you guys, really?
We are young, don't forget.
So, Amanda, you can't put a 20-liter bucket on your head.
No ways.
Okay. Angel?
Yeah.
All right, guys, I've been there on all those that have been mentioned there. I've used the neighbor's well. I've used the communal taps. Yes, I've fetched water several times from rivers. And I actually dug a well myself. I know how to dig a well. to get water underground. So I can relate on all those, but that was ages ago, and societies are becoming dynamic, and there are so much technologies coming out of societies. So what is it that influence housing and water? For example, water, guys, do you think water has got an impact on marketing, on consumer behavior?
Yes,
Amanzi.
yes,
Yes, they do, guys. Remember, there are so many products when using them. You need to use water first, for especially food products, hygienic purposes. So definitely, yes. Even with companies like Boston, you guys, when you come to school, want to know that you have bath or not, you know. So to some extent, and remember, water is life. Water is a basic need. Water and housing, they are both basic needs. Then energy. You know, we are talking about energy, and we were in the middle of load shedding and the impact that it has on the progress of our learning. There's been a steady increase in the use of electricity, and there was consistent increase of wood and paraffin, and there's also been a slight increase in the percentage of households that use gas. Guys, have you ever used wood and paraffin for cooking purposes? Do you actually know how to start a fire?
yes.
Yes. Angel, I'm not talking about starting a fire to smoke, eh?
No, I don't know, but I do
Okay.
know about the fire.
Benton, you are from Emalahleni ngani. Have you ever used coal?
Yes, a lot.
Okay. Anyway, I also come from a coal town, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's very cool.
All right. And guys, what impact does electricity have on consumer behavior and marketing? Okay, let's have an easy one. What impact does electricity have on advertising?
If your consumers or your potential customers don't have electricity, it can be very hard for you to reach out to them.
That's very true. That's something that is happening nowadays with load shedding. Many people are not watching TV. So I don't think in terms of advertising, there's any reach out there. Then there's been a dramatic increase in the number of households with a landline or a telephone or with cell phone, with only 5% of households indicating that they don't have a cell phone or a landline. In terms of internet access, it is reported that 40%, 40.9% of South African households have at least one member who has got access to internet. These have also changed significantly, guys. I remember the times when we did not have a landline and could use a landline from the neighbors. And then at the time we also had that landline. And all of a sudden you've got a girlfriend or a friend who is calling, and you need to stand beside your parents who are out there. And the person says, I love you, and you can't say I love you too, because parents are there. And we ended up developing some language code. Instead of I love you, end up saying 143. Do you know what what does 143 guys mean? Where it come from?
Oh,
So this is how we could do it. We could say 143 as in I is one word, Love is I is 1 letter. Love is 4 letters. U is 3 letters.
Makes sense.
Pardon?
I'm saying it makes sense, but it's
Yeah,
like
with our generation, you know, there were so many codes as a result of having landlines and stuff like that. And even cell phones, guys, there was a time where a single member of the family could have a cell phone, and in most cases, it would be the father. Then at some point, it was the mother. So it would be the father and the mother only who have got cell phone. But nowadays, I'm witnessing kids as young as 5 years old who have got cell phones. So this has got an impact on consumption, especially on marketing initiatives. Okay, we have done this exercise. Then the access to healthcare also matters. The provision of adequate healthcare remains a major concern, especially when it comes to HIV and AIDS. But I feel like there's been a lot of developments in terms of HIV and AIDS. Do you guys agree with me on that one? Because I can tell you that AIDS is no longer that scary like it used to be before. For me to hear that someone is HIV positive, it's no longer that scary that they are dying because there are medicines, there are ARVs, and people can actually live a normal life with HIV and AIDS. I get scared when I hear that someone has got cancer, when I hear that someone has got these life-threatening diseases such as diabetes, kidney failure, and so on. So HIV is becoming a social disease that we can actually live with. But in early 2000, it was so difficult and we lost a lot of relatives as a result of HIV. There's been gradual increase in the use of public healthcare facilities in recent years and access to medical aid. Do you guys have medical aid? Or you cannot afford at the moment?
not at the moment.
You have medical aid, Angel.
At the
Okay.
moment, I don't.
And some parents would actually prefer that they put their kids on medical aid and they don't get any medical aid. So it's a matter of affordability and priorities as well. Then we've got the living standards measure. That video that I said guys must go and watch talks about the living standards. So the living standard measure published by SAF lists the monthly household income among South Africans. So you also need to know the income, the household income, because that determines the type of the products that households consume. So the survey described the South African population in 10 universal groups. So the living standards are categorized into 10 groups. And the groups ranges from 10 with an average monthly income of 40,000 to 1, which is a lowest income of 1,480. Yes, guys, things are bad. There are families who are surviving on 1.480 per month. And I'm not talking about families as in having a single person like Benton surviving on 1.4. I'm talking about having kids, you know, like a family with more than 3 members who are surviving on 1,480. So it means when you are having marketing initiatives, you also need to consider if your products can fall within that category. That's why you see when you're about to get insurance or whatever that you are getting as an added value, They would ask for your household income. They want to see whether you can afford it or not. However, the majority of South African households fall within 6 with an average income of 6,500. But still, that's not enough. Even for an individual person, it's not enough to survive on 6,600, especially if you are paying rent and all those things. So budget always affects consumption, guys. So that's why household income matter. That's it, guys, about lesson 7. Are there any questions about this lesson?
No, sir.
Okay, do you guys now understand the market characteristics of South Africa that influence consumer behavior?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's take a 10 minutes break. Then we are going to proceed with lesson 8. Can we have a 10 minutes break?